The throne of eternal stars had never known silence like this. Empress Zelthera of the Viridian Collective sat frozen upon her crystalline seat, her 4 eyes wide with an emotion she hadn't experienced in 3 centuries of rule-pure, unfiltered shock. The human male standing before her, William Chen of Earth, had just spoken his first wish, and the words hung in the air like a singularity about to collapse. "I wish," he had said with maddening simplicity, "for you to experience 1 full day as a human on Earth." The Grand Hall, carved from the heart of a neutron star and suspended in pocket dimension, seemed to hold its breath. The assembled courtiers, beings from 1,000 worlds who had bent knee to the Empress, watched with compound eyes, sensor arrays, and psychic tendrils. None dared move. Zelthera's scales, which normally shimmered with the iridescence of authority, had turned a pale, sickly silver. Her telepathic crown, forged from the crystallized thoughts of ancient philosophers, flickered uncertainly. "That is, she began. Her voice, usually a symphony of harmonic overtones that could command fleets, came out as barely a whisper. "That is not how this works." William smiled, and there was something in that expression that reminded Zelthera why humans had become such a curiosity in the galactic community. They had joined the Collective only 50 years ago, yet already their reputation preceded them. Unpredictable, illogical, dangerous, in ways that couldn't be quantified. The human woman beside him, Olivia Rodriguez, Earth's diplomatic attaché, maintained her professional composure, but Zelthera's sensory organs detected the subtle uptick in her heart rate. The attaché knew something the Empress didn't, and that realization sent a cascade of unease through Zelthera's neural network. "Your radiance promised 3 wishes to the human who could solve the paradox of the infinite gate," Olivia said smoothly, her translator chip rendering her words in perfect High Viridian. "The parameters were clear. Any wish within your power to grant. You have the technology. You have the temporal displacement chambers. You can do this." Zelthera's claws gripped the arms of her throne. The paradox had stood unsolved for 10,000 years. Countless beings had tried and failed. She had offered the reward in jest, never believing any creature could unravel its complexities. Certainly not a human who had been studying mathematics for merely 32 Earth years. But William had solved it. In 6 hours. And now he wanted this. "You don't understand," Zelthera said, rising to her full 3-meter height. Her voice regained some of its imperial resonance. "I am the Eternal Empress. I have conquered systems. I have negotiated the peace of 1,000 worlds. I have held dying stars in my grasp and whispered them back to life. I cannot simply be human for a day." William interrupted, and the court gasped at his audacity. "Why not? Are you afraid?" The question struck like a plasma bolt. Afraid her, the Empress who had stared down the Hive Collective, who had walked into a black hole and returned, who had once arm-wrestled a gravity elemental for the fate of a solar system. But this was different. Humans were fragile. They lived in single bodies, trapped in linear time. They felt pain without neural dampeners, experienced emotion without regulatory implants. They died from things as absurd as consuming the wrong proteins or falling from moderate heights. They were, by any objective measure, one of the most vulnerable species in the Collective. "I accept your wish," Zelthera heard herself say, and immediately wanted to retract it. But an Empress did not break her word. That was the foundation of her power. Olivia stepped forward, producing a data tablet. "We've taken the liberty of preparing everything. A family in Seattle has agreed to host you. You'll experience a typical Saturday. Breakfast with the family, a trip to the local market, a community gathering. Nothing dangerous. Just ... normal." "Normal," Zelthera repeated, as if tasting poison. The transformation took place in the royal chamber of metamorphosis. Zelthera's consciousness was carefully extracted and encoded, then transmitted across space to a prepared human clone body, legally grown, ethically sourced, as per collective law. When Zelthera opened her eyes, she had only 2 of them. The sensation was immediately horrific. Her sensory input had been reduced by orders of magnitude. She couldn't perceive the quantum fluctuations in the air. She couldn't hear the cosmic background radiation. She couldn't feel the gravitational pull of distant planets. She was blind, deaf, numb. And then she tried to stand. Human bodies, she discovered, were an exercise in controlled chaos. Every movement required conscious thought. She had to balance. The room spun, actual physical vertigo, not a metaphor, and she grabbed the wall for support. "Easy," came a voice. A human woman, the host mother, smiled at her. "First time in a clone body. They take getting used to." Zelthera wanted to say she had inhabited 1,000 forms, mastered 100 physio, but her new vocal cords produced only a weak "yes." The day unfolded like a fever dream. Breakfast was a revelation of inefficiency. Humans had to physically consume matter, break it down with acid and bacteria, extract minimal energy. The host family's child, a 7-year-old named Marcus, taught her how to use a fork. An Empress, learning to use a fork. The market was overwhelming. So many humans, talking, laughing, arguing, all of them carrying the weight of mortality in their cells, yet moving through the world as if they had all the time in the universe. An elderly man stopped to help her pick up dropped groceries, asking nothing in return. This was ... inefficient, illogical ... beautiful ... at the community gathering a block party. They called it Zalthera experienced something that shattered her understanding of power. A young woman played a guitar, just wood and strings, nothing more. No quantum harmonics, no neural interfaces, just vibrations in air. And it made the humans cry. Happy tears, they explained. The music reminded them of lost loved ones, of dreams, of hopes. These fragile creatures, who lived maybe 100 years if they were lucky, felt so deeply that simple vibrations could move them to tears. Zalthera felt her own eyes, her to human eyes, grow wet. When she returned to her true form, standing once more in the throng of eternal stars, William and Olivia waited patiently. You have 2 wishes remaining, Zalthera said quietly. Her voice was different now, though her courtiers couldn't quite identify how. William nodded. I know, but I think you understand now why we wanted you to experience that first. Zalthera did understand. Humans weren't powerful because of technology or conquest. They were powerful because they chose to be kind, to create beauty, to live well while knowing they would die. Every moment was precious because it was finite. Your second wish? She asked. Cultural exchange programs, Olivia said. Real ones, where your people live as humans and our people learn from you. Not as subjects or curiosities, but as equals. The court erupted in murmurs, but Zalthera raised a claw for silence. And the third? William smiled that dangerous human smile. We'll save that one, for when you really need reminding. As they left, Zalthera returned to her throne. Her empire was unchanged. Her power remained absolute, but something fundamental had shifted in her understanding of the universe. She had ruled for 3 centuries, conquered countless worlds, and commanded the respect of 1,000 species, but for one day, she had been human, and it had been the most terrifying, humbling, magnificent experience of her eternal life.